Hey everybody, welcome back to Class Notes. In this episode we're going to be looking at exporting. Starting from our last video, you will see of course that we had a very simple animation. By saving the work, we can of course come back to it later in work. However, if we want to share this with anybody, we have to convert the entire timeline, the entire animation, into a format upon which they can actually watch and view it. Like so many other After Effects features, there is of course more than one way to export the timeline into a new movie. I'll show you the two basic ones, but keep in mind there are more. The first way is to go up to the File pull-down menu and simply choose Export. From here you can see you have different types of formats. I'm not going to get into a long discussion here about the different types of formats. The more common ones are of course QuickTime, AVI, and of course MPEG. And for web work, Flash videos, despite what Apple says, is still very common. Once you've chosen your format, just select it, it opens up a window, and the window is broken down to three sections: the video settings, the sound settings, and the prepare for internet streaming. Starting at the top with the video settings, the settings button allows you to control which video compression algorithm that you want to use. Each of these again has their pros and cons. I'm not going to get into that right this moment. The most common one currently as of recording this video is H.264. The filters button, again very advanced, let's not get into that now. The size button though does give you various options. For one thing, it may shrink down your video to other sizes. I personally recommend leaving it as current. And this is also where hidden is the deinterlace video setting. So if you have interlace video and you want to make it progressive scan, you would go ahead and check this box. By default, the sound option is almost always turned off. So if you do have sound and you do want it as part of your movie, make sure you click the little sound box. I normally stick with the default settings myself, but you can get in there and choose different ones if you want, higher quality, lower quality, etc. The prepare for internet streaming gets into again a whole different ball of wax, and I'm going to jump over it. So basically all you need to do is from the export menu choose your format a la QuickTime, AVI, Flash, adjust your settings if needed, make sure sound is either turned off or turned on, whichever way you want it, and then simply hit the OK button. It will then bring up a dialog box saying what folder do you want to save the video in, and do you want to give it a new name. By default it will give you your comp name as the name of the movie. The moment you hit save, it will then export and convert the timeline into a new movie. The second method to exporting movie uses a thing called the render queue. The render queue is another tab that shows up down in the timeline next to your comps. If you don't see it, just simply go to the Windows pull-down menu and look toward the bottom of the menu, and you should see render queue. Select it, and the new tab will then show up down by your timeline. By default, the render queue should be blank, or it'll show you the last thing you rendered in the render queue. Now, assuming that your render queue is blank, you simply go up to your project window and find the comp, which is your final timeline / movie that you want to export. Select it, drag it down, and from here you're given several different options. There are two important buttons on the render queue that you may need to adjust. Now, before you say anything, they actually don't look like buttons. The first one is next to where it says Output Module, and the button's not that little down arrow. It's actually the word lossless in this example, but it's the text next to it, which is actually the button. By clicking on it, it brings up all the options possible, such as video format, video output, stretching, cropping, and audio output. At the top, we have the video format options. And once again, from here, we can choose QuickTime, AVI, whatever we want to make our final movie to be format-wise. Below that is the video output. And this is where we get our format options, which is all the compression algorithms and other settings. Stretch, we're going to jump over, but basically it's a way to adjust the size again of our video. By default, it's turned off. Below that also is crop. which is again turned off. And again, our audio output is turned off by default. If you want to change that, just click the little box next to the word audio output, and your timeline will also include the audio for your movie. The next button is actually to the right, which says output to, and once again it's not the little drop down triangle, it's the word comp, or whatever you've titled your timeline. Basically, this is a simple button which says which folder do you want to put and what name do you want to give your final movie. So all you have to do is type in a new name, find the right folder, and hit save. At this point, you still have not rendered out or made your movie. You have to go to the right hand side and press the button called render. The actual render time, no matter what process you use, will take, well, some time, depending upon the length of your timeline, the complexity, and what type of quality settings you have chosen. So do be patient with it. For very long pieces that are very complicated, it could take anywhere from minutes to hours to finally export out as a QuickTime movie, say. After you've exported or rendered your movie, the render queue, in this case, will still sit there showing what you've done. To delete out that old render comp, you just highlight the name, hit delete on your keyboard, and your render queue's clean. And basically that's about it. That's all you have to know about doing a simple export or render of your timeline and converting it into a new format.